This girl was born in Ethiopia. She had been living in an orphanage and was unwanted by her mother, who had tried to have an abortion. But something incredible happened. In 2005, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, one of the richest and most famous couples in the world, adopted Zahara. Since then, her life has completely changed. So, what's the story behind this fortunate girl? How has her life turned out? And what does she look like now? Watch the full video to find out. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to get notified when I upload a new video. Let's get started. In the early 2000s, few couples captivated the world like Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. Their love story began on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where on-screen chemistry sparked a real-life connection. Brad, already a star from films like Fight Club and Ocean's 11, met Angelina, an Oscar-winning actress known for her bold roles and humanitarian work. Their relationship, dubbed Brangelina, became iconic, gracing magazine covers, dominating headlines, and redefining Hollywood royalty. But what truly set them apart was their shared mission to make a difference. As a UNHCR Goodwill Ambassador, Angelina traveled the world advocating for refugees. Brad soon joined her, blending their fame with purpose. Angelina had adopted her son Maddox from Cambodia in 2002 and often spoke about how motherhood grounded her and gave her life new meaning. Brad admired that devotion and embraced Maddox as his own, deepening their bond. Africa held special meaning for them. Angelina had visited countries like Sierra Leone and Namibia, and both were moved by the strength of the people they met. Their connection to the continent only grew. In 2005, during a humanitarian trip to Ethiopia, their journey took a life-changing turn when they met Zahara, a 6-month-old orphaned baby girl. Zahara was born in Ethiopia in January 2005. Her mother was a teenager living in extreme poverty, trapped in a cycle of suffering that offered no protection, no support, and no future. Tragically, she became pregnant after being sexually assaulted. Terrified and alone, she kept the pregnancy secret. In the rural village where she lived, there was no clinic, no doctor, and often not even a meal. Days would pass without food. Clean water was scarce. Electricity and sanitation were non-existent. Out of desperation, she attempted to end the pregnancy herself, an unsafe abortion, done in silence, using whatever she could find. But the attempt failed, and somehow, Zahara survived. Her mother, already living with AIDS and weakened from illness and hunger, died shortly after giving birth. The baby, fragile and abandoned, was left in the care of her grandmother. The grandmother tried to care for her, but poverty had already hollowed out their home. With too many mouths to feed, no medicine, and barely any food, she made a heartbreaking decision. She wrapped the baby in an old cloth and carried her to a distant orphanage, praying that someone else could give her a chance to live. There, Zahara lay in silence for days. She was malnourished, sickly, and too frail to attract the attention of potential families. Other children came and went, but she stayed, unmoving, unnoticed, unwanted. The nurses whispered quietly, "She won't make it." For 6 months, no one even asked her name. But even in silence, Zahara fought to survive. At that time, Angelina Jolie was considering adopting another child. She had traveled to Africa and felt a deep connection to its people. When she saw Zahara's photo, something shifted inside her. She needed to meet this baby. Angelina flew to Ethiopia and held Zahara, then just 6 months old, in her arms. She was shocked by how small and weak she was. Angelina would later say on Good Morning America, "She was 6 months old and not 9 pounds. Her skin, you could squeeze it, and it stuck together." Even her son Maddox, only 4 at the time, recognized something was wrong. He said, "Z needs help." But the road to adoption wouldn't be easy. And what came next was terrifying. Doctors warned Angelina that Zahara might be HIV positive, since her birth mother had died from AIDS. Tests had to be done before the adoption could move forward. But for Angelina, the decision had already been made. On Anderson Cooper 360, she later revealed, "I would have adopted her no matter what the results were. It's a life-changing decision, and I was prepared." Still, when the results came back negative, it was a moment of quiet relief. But Zahara's fight wasn't over yet. After arriving in the United States, she was rushed to a hospital with a serious case of salmonella. She spent a week recovering in New York. Brad Pitt, who had already grown attached to the little girl, later said, "I know she wouldn't be alive today if she hadn't been adopted." That year, Brad officially adopted Zahara. And from that moment on, she went from an orphanage to a grand mansion in Los Angeles. A year after Zahara's adoption, the family grew again. On May 27, 2006, Angelina and Brad welcomed their first biological child, Shiloh Nouvelle Jolie Pitt, born via C-section in the coastal town of Swakopmund, Namibia. Suddenly, there were 2 babies in the house. Soon after, Jolie adopted another child and gave birth to 3 biological children, expanding the family even more. Zahara now had a big family, a father, a mother, and 5 brothers and sisters. From the beginning, Zahara formed a deep bond with her siblings. Maddox, who had once whispered, "Z needs help," became her quiet protector. And Shiloh, born just a year after Zahara arrived in Los Angeles, became her closest companion. The 2 girls grew up side by side, sharing everything from toys to tantrums to red carpet appearances. By the time Zahara was 7, Angelina said in an interview, "Zahara's the one who holds us all together. She's funny, full of energy, and always knows how to make us laugh. But when she's around people she doesn't know, she gets quiet. She's shy at first, but once she opens up, she lights up the room." In 2016, when Zahara was just 11 years old, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt shocked the world by announcing their separation after more than a decade together. Their split made headlines everywhere, but behind the cameras it was a tough and emotional time, especially for their 6 children. In the middle of all the chaos, Zahara stayed calm. Even though she was still a child herself, she stepped up in a big way. She comforted her younger siblings, helped them understand what was happening, and quietly held the family together. People close to them said Zahara became like a mini-mom during that painful chapter. Today, Zahara is 20 years old, and she's stepping into adulthood with grace and purpose. She's a student at Spelman College in Georgia, one of the most respected historically Black colleges in the U.S. Recently, she joined Alpha Kappa Alpha, the same sorority that Vice President Kamala Harris was part of. And in a move that made headlines, she chose to go by Zahara Marley Jolie, quietly dropping Pitt from her name. This has sparked talk about where things stand between her and Brad Pitt, especially with her parents still divorcing. Even though Zahara grew up in the spotlight, surrounded by Hollywood stars, she's never chased fame. She did a bit of voice work in Kung Fu Panda 3, and she's often been seen at red carpet events with her mom, Angelina Jolie, always dressed in bold, elegant outfits that turn heads. But deep down, Zahara is known to be shy and very private. Still, she's been quietly building her own path. At just 14, she launched her jewelry line. She's also played a big role in her mom's fashion brand, Atelier Jolie, making sure the designs include nude tones that match darker skin, a detail often overlooked in fashion. Zahara is deeply passionate about social justice. She's traveled to Washington, D.C. with Angelina several times, speaking up for survivors of violence and pushing for real change, especially around laws like the Violence Against Women Act. When you look at how Angelina has guided and supported Zahara over the years, it makes you think. This story shows that the real parent is the one who gives love to the child, not just the one who gives birth. Do you agree with me? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to channel for more. As always, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.